Hi, this is Bill Gundelfinger, also known as Mr. Medicare, and I just wanted to give you all a really quick and brief update on a couple of new developments that have happened over the course of the last couple of weeks here regarding Medicare Part D. Both of these relate back to the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed about 3 years ago now. I know that we've already kind of brought you up to speed with previous videos on some of the newer developments that we're facing for 2025. But since then, there have actually been a couple of more developments. So here we go. Number one, and this is probably the headline that most of you have already seen, but there was an initial list of 10 medications that the government announced they would begin price negotiations on earlier in the year. They did that, and they have published the results of those price negotiations. Now, again, these were negotiations between the manufacturers and the federal government, and so both sides have agreed to this pricing going into 2026. And here's that list. Many of these names you'll recognize. Some you may not recognize unless you're in a situation where you have to take these. But these represent significant cost savings. And I'm going to just pick on one, the one at the bottom, Xarelto. This is a common blood thinner. And if you were to walk into a pharmacy today and try to fill this prescription without any insurance at all, you would pay somewhere in the ballpark of around $600 a month. They've negotiated these prices down to around $200, just under $200. And of course, the copays will then be lower than that because that is the full price being charged to the Medicare Part D plan. Now, these prices won't go into effect until 2026. That's the bad news. But the good news is that there is enormous progress that's been made on these 10 medications. And as far as what's coming into the future, well, in early 2025, Medicare will announce a new list of 10 new medications that they will begin negotiations on for the following year. So this is kind of an ongoing process in an effort to try to get these medication costs down to a more fair level. So that's the big headline for that one item. Now, there's something else that has happened over the last couple of weeks, and this didn't get a whole lot of press, not very many headlines, probably because it's really complicated and people don't really understand. In fact, the reporters probably don't even really understand how it's going to be impacting or benefiting anybody. But this has to do with premium stabilization. I know it sounds really boring, and kind of it is, but it's really important. So part of the Inflation Reduction Act also had to do with the fact that the act requires Medicare premiums as a whole not to increase more than 6% per year starting this year. Now, how do you do that if your costs are going up? So in the previous videos we talked about, some of these programs are going to increase the cost on the insurance companies. And we were concerned about how that was going to be passed down to us, the beneficiaries. Were they going to raise the premiums by a whole bunch, or were they going to somehow destroy their formularies, the medications that they're covering? Of course, they don't have a lot of leeway in there because they have to meet certain requirements for their formularies. So, but we just kind of didn't understand, nobody really understood how that was going to be passed down. But part of the Inflation Reduction Act says that if the premiums have to go up more than that amount, that the government would step in and make what amounts to payments back to the insurance company to help stabilize those premiums and keep them where they need to be. So that's what's happening. And the government announced that I read somewhere that they're going to be making payments in the range of over $7 billion back to the insurance companies, because what we were facing was increased premiums on average over 50% for 2025. And so an awful lot of the cost of that is being handed back to the insurance companies so that they won't have to raise those premiums like that. As a result, they will still be required to maintain that 6% or less margin on their premiums as a whole. Now, again, any individual plan plan might raise their premiums a little bit more or a little bit less. But the point is that these premiums are going to be held in check, and that's a huge benefit for us. So I just wanted to throw that all out there at you all. We still don't know what the 2025 plan specifics are yet, but that'll be coming here over the course of the next month. And as new information becomes available, we'll let you know what it is. Thanks.